Tea for time. Okay, it is bye week. And you know what? Everyone needs a bye week. No matter what job you have, I feel like bye weeks are important. And obviously very important in football. We talked about it last week, but just with all the injuries the Rams have had, it's been a nice week to have off. At first when the schedule came out, I feel like Matthew and I were like, ooh, an early bye week, because it makes the rest of the season seem really long when you have like a bye week that's either early or late. The later bye weeks makes the first half of the season seem forever. Earlier makes the second half of the season seem forever. But it was good for us. We've had a lot of injuries, so just have an extra week for people to heal. What else is bye week good for, Matthew?
Just I don't know, good rest, relaxation, a chance to hang out with the family, take the kids to school, do all that kind of stuff.
A little reset.
Absolutely. Both physically, like you mentioned, but also mentally too. It's nice to be able to step away during the week. Whatever else interests you, kind of get into that for a little bit, and then come back. I find myself watching football on Sundays anyways, but getting back into it, getting ready to go tomorrow.
Yeah. We talked about actually last week, which you just say like a mental reset. We went over the offense last week and just like all of the different personnels. And I loved Kier. It was like, I'm sorry. He has to figure all this out, get a play in, tell the guys the play, and then actually decipher the defenses and then throw the ball. I was like, yeah. So we get it. We don't get it, but we get that you needed that mental reset. Yes. I feel like quarterbacks in general need one like after every game. But it was good. We took a little trip to Napa, which was fun. Our first time there.
Yep.
Yeah, so that was enjoyable. Didn't like drink too much wine. I feel like we drank the perfect amount. But we got to go to Screaming Eagle, which was really cool. And if people don't know what that is, your owner owns it.
Yep.
Which was really unique and really cool to see. And also on your bye week, you went on Fox today.
Oh, yeah, I did.
Also, we're recording on Sunday. We'll get into it. But this morning you were on Fox. Yeah. I thought you did an incredible job.
Thank you.
I'm not going to sit here right now on this podcast and tell you to retire. But
good, because I'd have to fight you on it.
I know.
That would be a timeout.
That would be a timeout. You're so right. I did enjoy watching you. Girls enjoyed watching you too. It comes easily, I feel like, for you.
Well, I had a lot of fun. I think that group makes it really easy too. It's not a stuffy environment from the second I walked in there. I mean, it was, I obviously have a great relationship with Carissa and some of the guys that are on the, the earlier show, and then with the guys on the countdown stuff or the Fox pregame football stuff. It was a whole lot of fun with Terry and Howie and Kurt and Michael, and it's a whole lot of fun.
Could you see yourself wanting to do that when you're done?
Yeah, I would love to. I think talking about the game, being in some version of that is an appealing thing to me.
Yeah.
I think wherever it is, but I do think staying involved in the game of football is something I want to do.
Yeah, I think that's great because you're taking less hits. I'm getting more laughs with it. But I get it. It's going to be obviously hard when that time comes, but something to look forward to maybe. It's either that or what, cooking? Like what else?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, the biggest passion outside of my family is the game of football, and that's a fun, unique way to stay involved in it while getting to, watch, talk, be around the game, and it was really cool to be around some of those great players too, ex-players that are now doing a great job talking about it.
But what about your golf game?
Plenty of time for that. I would not be, going to practice Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. You'd be enjoying a little bit more downtime, I would assume.
The schedule is nice. You were telling me about it. It's like strictly Sundays. It's in LA, so that makes it easy. But that would be fun. I enjoyed it. I really did. I didn't think I would be that into it, but I honestly loved watching you on TV and talked about the Lions. You talked about them a bunch because that was their Fox game.
Yep.
But it was fun. So we are going to now talk about actual football. I know we were talking about other things, but that's what the timeout's for. So far it is Sunday. We've watched the games up until Sunday Night Football. I don't even know. Bengals and
Giants.
Oh,
Look at me.
Whoa.
I just came from a football bar, so
There
Did you?
I'm up to date.
Were you hanging out with Dallas fans or Lions fans?
You know, actually, there were mostly Steelers fans.
Oh, yeah.
there.
Interesting.
They're everywhere.
They
Yeah.
are everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Just a big following. I mean, they were a dynasty in the 70s and have been a really, one of the original football teams in the NFL. They've been a really good team for a long time, and a lot of great players to cheer for. They were really good when Big Ben was there, the early,
I know, I remember.
2000, 2010s.
Yeah,
so,
he married a Georgia girl, didn't he?
So they've, I think so.
Yeah.
I think they got a place in Georgia.
George Peaches, what's up? So we watched this morning, or I did. You were doing your thing. The Jags and the Bears who were playing in London, which I love. I mean, the early games here are very early, because it's like 9:30 on the East Coast, right? So it was very early here when they were playing. Obviously, that is my brother's team. They have been struggling a bit. They did lose to the Bears today, but what blew my mind is that they have to stay over there for another week.
Yeah. Jacksonville's one of those teams that plays a couple games a year over there, and I guess they're
2 weeks in London.
Yeah.
What is Chad Hall doing?
I don't know. Chad loose in London. That might be a podcast in its own right there.
I know. Poor Rose. Rose is so she's by herself, pregnant with 3 toddlers for 2 weeks, while her husband is working very hard. I know.
Yeah, I'm sure.
In London, but also probably enjoying London. I mean, don't you have to?
Yeah, maybe a little, but I bet you they're pretty work heavy at the moment.
Maybe if they would have won, it would have been a little more fun. Who knows? Then we did Cardinals in Green Bay, which I caught that. You were working during this. Cardinals lost to Green Bay, which is great for us. It's tough. 4-1's tough, and I know you're going to say the same thing. But like I said last week, I just feel like no team is ever out of it when you are at the helm, which is what I love. I know that puts a lot on your back, but I think you thrive under that. Don't you kind of like that?
Yeah, you said we were 4-1. I think you meant 1-4.
I mean 1-4. Shit. Okay, this is great.
4-1.
Wait, this is great. Losing and winning are like records. Okay, your wins come first.
Yep.
Okay, so when you say someone is 1-4, they have won one game and lost 4. If there is a tie, it comes at the end. So if Matthew and them had tied a game, it would be 1-3-1. Now, there you go. There's a record. So I did say it wrong, 4-1. That would be great. We are 1-4. And then obviously we just got done watching the Lions Cowboys. I mean, kind of watched. That was a beatdown in itself. You hate to see injuries.
Oh.
And Matthew called it right away when Aiden Hutchinson went down. And it kind of I couldn't watch it. And luckily they didn't show it but one more time. And right when you saw the first replay, you're like, he broke it. And then the NFL or the Fox decided not to show it again, which I really appreciate.
Yeah, no doubt.
Because if you're a family member or if you know this person on a personal level, to watch them go through a gruesome injury and have it just replayed for the world over and over again, that fucking sucks. So I'm glad Fox decided not to show it. I also think it probably would have made people wheezy. You hate to see it. Then there was the one guy, a few plays later, that got kicked in the eye because his helmet fell off.
Yeah, Carlton Davis.
Yeah, and you said his helmet
popped off in our game, too. I was like, maybe he needs to get a smaller helmet, tighten that thing up a little bit. But...
Yeah, so, dude, tighten that thing up. I mean, he got kicked in the eye with a cleat.
Yeah, that was scary.
Oh. Yeah, so a few plays later, you never, again, injuries suck. We know it, but NFL in general knows it. And prayers out to Aiden and his family. I know he's a Michigan guy. And so I don't know that. And I know that hurts their defense big time. But besides that, they are rolling. I mean, those 2 running backs are so physical.
Yep.
I don't know. I just love to watch offensive players get physical. Defense is always going to be physical, but I like when offensive players give it back. I also love how they just trick plays. Doesn't matter where they are on the field.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if they're up 40 points. They're pulling out trick plays.
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun to watch. They were trying to get those tackles, a couple touchdowns, I think, to get it back for the game last year. But they tried to throw one to Dak and then had a sweet little hook and ladder with a Sewell too.
Sewell,
Yeah,
I know.
it was fun game to watch.
Yeah, didn't you say that they reported, or Skipper reported eligible in the first play?
Yeah.
So we talked about reporting eligible, but Detroit people know that just because of what happened, and I love that they did that on the first play, and it was against Dallas, so that's why
exactly.
they did it.
I know Halloween's just around the corner, and we tend to, put on costumes, put on facades for Halloween. But do you ever feel like you're doing that in your real life? Like you are showing one thing when you're really not feeling that way, just to like make it easier on everyone else around you. Like you're putting on a good face when you feel like crap. This is why I love BetterHelp, because they literally can help you just accept all parts of yourself. So you can take off the mask and stop putting on a facade. Because to be honest, why should we be wearing masks except for at Halloween, guys? I have really benefited from therapy. I can't say it enough. I love BetterHelp because it's convenient. It's so easy just to hop on and talk to somebody. There's no waiting rooms. There's no awkwardness. So take off the mask with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/morningafter today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/morningafter.
That's cool.
Okay, today we went over offensive stuff last week. We're going to do defensive stuff. Matthew obviously is here. I told him I'm going to take the reins on this because I feel like when he talks about it, whoa, it goes over the head. So he's going to kind of just, put
I'll chime in.
Yes, when is needed, which will probably be a bunch, but I'll try and, keep it on the easy side. All right, defensive positions. This is base defense, which we will get to the other defenses. Y'all, this went way over my head. So if you feel like it's going over your head, please just re-listen, I guess. I don't know. All right, while I talk about it, will you draw out a base defense?
Sure.
So if you're watching. All right, so defensive positions. You normally will have 2 D tackles, which is interesting. If you remember last week, the tackles for offense is on the outside. Okay, well, D tackles are actually on the inside. They're going inside. And then there's 2 D ends, which are, if you think about it, defensive ends. They're on the end.
Ooh,
I know.
that makes sense.
There you go. So 2 D ends. Their jobs, pass rush, stop the run. 3 linebackers. Their job, and they're like, I would say, athletic, bigger dudes. Would you say that's what linebackers were?
Sure.
Okay, great. Stop the run, react to the pass, and read the linemen. This is very interesting to me. I did not know any of this. How do they read the linemen? Do you remember what you told me?
Yeah. Everybody's got a gap in defense. I don't want to get too granular.
No, don't
here.
do the gap. The gap's he started with the gap.
So
I was like, stop with the gap.
Right, they're just seeing offensive linemen. Are their pads low? Do they come off the ball with their pads low? They're trying to push on a defensive lineman. Okay,
stop.
Then they think
Stop.
run.
Okay, so when your pads are low, they think run because they're really just trying to bull rush some people out of the way.
Correct, because if you remember, when you throw a pass on offense, the lineman cannot go downfield. So if the O linemen start going down the field to block a linebacker, gotta be a run.
You know it's a run. Okay. So that's interesting. I like that you just said that. Linemen are not allowed to block downfield. We didn't get that on the offensive podcast, so that's good to know. So pads up, most likely a throw. Pads down.
Okay. What does pads up and pads
So their
down
shoulders.
mean? Okay.
If their shoulder pads come up, most likely a pass.
Gotcha.
If their shoulder pads are down, that means they are like pushing
Trying to move
through.
the guy in front of them, right? So they're coming off low, trying to move the D lineman. Where if you're like pass protecting, your pads are a little bit higher, and you're trying to protect more so than you're trying to go forward.
Okay, so this is also offensive linemen we're talking about because the defensive linebackers have to read them to know what type of play is happening. There was something else, but we'll get there. I can't remember what it is. All right, so after that, you have 2 corners. They're in coverage, so they're the people that basically cover the eligible receivers, and then 2 safeties, which if you play like soccer, they're like the sweepers. They're like the last line of defense. So they just keep everything in front of them. But this all goes to shit because there's a ton of different defenses he was telling me about. And I was like, oh God, I got nothing. But you said that safeties are a hybrid between what?
More like between a linebacker and a corner, right? They have to cover tight ends, or they have to be in the back with a bunch of space around them. They either have to run over the top in the single high or play a half field, all that
Too
kind of
many
stuff.
words.
So they have to be able
Too
to
many
run.
words.
They have to
Okay.
be able to run, but they also have to be able to tackle and play down in the box some too.
Got it. Okay.
So it's a little bit of like, oh, I got to be athletic enough like a corner, but I got to be strong enough like a linebacker.
to be able to tackle.
Correct.
Okay. Well, that's good. I like that. Okay. So those are the positions in defense. Now, we're not going to get to the personnels of defense until a little bit later because I feel like that's a lot to do. But defense in general, you are trying to keep them in front of the sticks. What are the sticks? Matthew, what are the sticks?
The first down markers.
The first down markers. Thank you so much.
Oh.
Yay. See?
We were calling them thingies all
Yeah,
last
things.
week.
The sticks. They're the orange sticks on the sidelines. There's two of them. One's the starting position. One's the 10 yards that you have to get.
Yep.
Okay. So defense is trying to keep you from getting the 10 yards
Yep.
within 4 downs, most likely 3, because either it'll be a punt or a field goal, unless you're Detroit and you just go for it every damn time. It's crazy. So 4 times, but most likely 3. Oh, I thought you were raising your hand. It's like, this is great. I'll answer it. Now, there are 2 styles of defenses.
Sure.
And when he says sure, it's because just like, what were we talking about?
Just like on offense, when you say you can either run it or you can pass it, there's a million different kinds of runs and a million different kinds of passes. Just like on defense, there is zone,
Yes.
which there are aplenty.
There are a lot of zones. Well, think about basketball. There's a 2-3 zone. There's a 1-3-1 zone.
Yep.
There's a box and one,
Yep.
which is kind of a zone, and it's a hybrid. Do you have any
Which-
of those?
Plenty of those called match zones.
Match zones. Holy shit.
Yeah,
Okay.
we won't get into it. And then, so anyways, there's zone and then there's man.
There's zone and there's man.
And
So-
there's a bunch of different kinds of man.
Yes. So do you know like what that actually means?
No.
Okay.
Please share.
Okay. So if you played basketball or what other sport plays man and zone, is that pretty much it?
I would imagine soccer, there's some zone and then there's people that like
Or
play,
one-on-one?
yeah,
Oh,
play
that
like
was me. Okay.
match all day.
Yeah. Defensive star over here, couldn't play offense. That's why. But so man is where you are literally guarding one person.
One
you have one
person.
job. Okay. Stop.
I'm going to simplify it though.
Okay. Simplify it.
This is just for the 5 eligibles you talked about last week.
Ah.
As a D lineman, you are not guarding an O lineman. Only for the people that are eligible to catch a pass are we playing man on, right? So a D tackle isn't like, oh, I guard the center. No, he's trying to go. The guys on the outside that can be going out for passes, the 5 eligibles that we talked about last week, those are the people that are either
Getting
getting manned or getting zoned.
Okay. So if you're an eligible receiver, you have a defender that's on you.
Yep, he's going to run with you wherever you go.
You go. Now, zone. Have you ever heard people say like, oh, when they have 2 kids, it's man to man, and when they have 3, it's zone coverage?
Yes.
Okay.
heard that.
So zone coverage is when you are protecting a part of the zone
Of the field, correct.
of the field. Yes.
Yep.
So you could have the left top. I don't know. We're just going to simplify this.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Yeah, that's...
Oh, my God. What is that?
Well, I tried to draw the defense, but then I was like, I got to make this really simple. But
That's simple?
that's like... So...
Did you do a free safety and a strong safety?
Well, yeah.
No one knows what that is. I don't even know what that is.
Okay.
What's the difference between a free safety
Well,
and a
it
strong
depends.
safety?
Don't worry about it.
Depends
we
on
won't
side the
get-
ball's on?
No, it depends on where the tight end is usually.
Okay. Depends on where the tight end is. Wow. Okay. What if there's not a tight end in the game?
Then they would set it either to the field or the boundary. And a lot of defenses...
Okay,
need-
yeah. Okay,
don't
never
even...
mind. This is. So now you are really understanding there's a lot of shit that goes into this.
Yeah.
But I mean, it honestly just looks like you spelled football in a really weird way in the middle.
Looks like Foxy.
Yeah. That was just like, I mean,
Okay.
as rudimentary as I could make it.
So
but-
we're not, you guys can take a look at this real quick. But we're not gonna, this is just, that's too much.
Yeah.
I don't even know where we were. I was so taken back by this.
We're zone.
Oh,
and
we're
man
zoned.
defense.
Okay. So let's draw that up. Can you draw zone defense?
It would have been easier had you left it.
No, it wouldn't have. Just make it bigger too, like the whole field.
Okay.
All right, so he's going to draw up a zone defense for those of you who don't know what that is. But the way you figure out as a quarterback what defense these people might be in, man or zone, and I know there's a million different mans and zones. So, but man versus zone, is it just the movement before the ball?
No.
What else is the tell?
Are
There's
people like looking at
Well, there's a million different tells. Yes, that's one. Nobody plays man defense, or not nobody, but a lot of people don't play man defense while looking at the quarterback before the snap. They want to look at the guy that they're guarding.
Oh, so the eyes
Are
of the
they
defender.
running? Do you put a running back out and then a linebacker goes out with him? Well, that's how normally they would cover it in man, so that feels like man. But then defenses have their own checks too, where they show you man and play zone off of it, or show you a zone look where they put a safety down on a receiver and you go, oh, that's going to be a zone because normally they put a corner there. Oh, and then they play man off of that. So it's a chess match. It's constant. There's different tells for each different defense.
Okay.
Some defenses will not give you one, and then you got to realize it pro snap. So there's a there's
How
a lot
do
of
they
action.
not give you one? They just stand still and not
Well,
look
they
anywhere?
just they will no matter what the situation is, they won't they won't give you any indicators, whether it be with motion. They won't run across. They'll just trade.
Real quick, a motion is when someone is moving before the ball is snapped. So a lot of times with our team, we're motioning Cooper Kupp, and if someone's following him left and right, most likely man. But if they're like pushing people over, is that how it works? Where they just bump, or they just kind of
Correct.
stay still?
Correct. Sometimes.
Okay, so when the defense, if Cooper Kupp is here behind Matthew and Matthew motions him and he goes to the other side of the field and there's a player on defense that does the same thing, most likely man. But if that defender stays on the opposite side and they just kind of push over, most likely zone. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, there you go. So, bunch of different styles of man and zone. I also am intrigued with the show blitz, but when they drop back.
Yep.
How often does that happen?
Depends. Certain coordinators like to do it a lot. Other coordinators are like, hey, if we line up like this, we're going to bring it. But again, part of a chess match. Do they drop back into zone? Is it a man-looking pressure and they don't bring it, or they do and they drop defensive ends? I mean, there's...
Oh my God, I would never want to be you.
There's
This
a lot.
Sounds horrible.
A lot that goes on.
What a mind fuck.
Are you tired?
I'm tired.
Exhausted.
I'm already tired listening to this. Okay, well, so
Yeah.
here, this is so much better. Can you explain your drawing bit to the camera?
This is the offense trying to go this way.
But to this camera.
Oh, sorry. This is the offense trying to go that way. There's the D-line who's not involved in the zone or the man a lot of times.
Okay.
They're rushing. And then we have just a generic two-high defense. So the corners in two-high zone have the flat areas.
Okay.
And if nobody comes to their flat, they sink.
Okay. Flat, like
Close to the line of
close to
scrimmage.
the line. Okay.
The two deep safeties have the two deep halves of the field.
Okay.
So this safety has everything from the middle of the field over,
Okay.
nothing over his head.
Nothing over, all
Same-
in front of you.
Correct. Same thing from this safety over here.
Okay.
And these three linebackers
Uh-huh.
are playing the middle part of the field. A lot of times the middle one will run through the middle
Uh-huh.
and to help the safeties out for anything deep. And then the two guys underneath kind of play off the quarterback's eyes.
Okay. So I have a question for you after
ahead.
you just went. What do you like to play against better?
Zone or man?
Mm-hmm.
It depends. A lot of times zone is kind of like, hey, if you're a defense, you want to have what we like to say on offense is like a slow death, where you're going to keep it in front of you. You may complete a bunch more passes.
It's like
but
quick.
we're going to tackle it. We might get a fumble, those kind of things. One benefit to zone is all the defensive guys, not all of them, but the majority of them are looking at the quarterback. So if he misses a throw, they're able to, chance to get a tip that's a pick. Whereas
Okay.
in man, I'm staring at my guy's waist trying to run around and chase him. If the ball
Okay.
tips or is a bad throw, sometimes the corner right, it'll go right by his head and he's
Yeah.
just running at the chasing. It's harder to get turnovers sometimes when everybody's staring at their man.
Yeah. Got it. Makes sense.
And then a lot of the man stuff is just a little bit more aggressive, right? It's on defense. You're playing man coverage. It's okay. We're gonna make it harder to complete passes because we're gonna be closer to the receivers. But if our guy trips and falls,
yeah.
it might be a
You have
touchdown.
no help.
Correct. So it's a little bit, zone is a little more feast or famine, or I'm sorry, man is a little bit more feast or famine. Zone a lot of times is keep it in front, but it just kind of depends on down and distance, personnel in the game, situation of the game.
Okay.
What,
Well, here's
what
a
you're getting.
question. If your defensive backs, and when I say defensive backs, that is your corners and your safeties,
Yep.
correct? Okay, so if your corners and your backs, say everyone gets hurt,
Yep.
and then you're on your, let's say we're pulling people off the streets to
Yep.
play defensive backs. Are you immediately in zone? Because there's not really a chance that they can keep up with these NFL wide receivers if they're coming off the quote unquote street.
Well, I would say maybe, but at the same time, growing up, what's the one thing everybody knows how to do?
Follow.
Cover that guy.
Man.
Whereas like you get into a zone coverage and we go, hey, if 2 and 3 switch and 3 comes under, you got a new fast 3 from the backfield, you got to pass. And they're going, wait a minute, I've been here one day.
Gibberish. Yeah.
Right?
Cool.
So it's going, there's a lot of intricacies to zone a lot of
Okay.
times, whereas man can be a little bit simpler and go, hey, I got this cat
You
wherever
just
he
cover.
runs. So a little bit of a balance there, but I can understand where you might think, oh, just everybody play off, keep it in front. Well, you know, they're going to flood zones. They're going to find ways to make it difficult on the communication.
Well,
So
I do feel like
sometimes it's
people
easier
are
to
like
go man.
wide open in zones. half
Yeah,
the
it
time.
happens sometimes, and then that's why a lot of the league is, you know, converted a little bit to more match type zones where, hey, we're not just going to go guard this part of the field if nobody's over there. If they're not, we're melting back. We're gaining back defenders. You know, so let's say nobody comes into the deep half. This safety might just start melting over to help out what's going on over
So you're
here.
saying no one's in the back, no one's on one side of the field. So why would you have people over there?
Correct. Back
Okay.
in the day, it used to be everybody get to their spot, look
And
at the
then-
quarterback, and go tackle the ball once it's completed. Well, now
Okay.
it's like, hey, if nobody's there, you don't have any work, find work.
Right.
Right? How can you help? And
Okay.
so it's, you know, made it harder, you know, in the pass game a little bit.
Yeah. Okay. So that makes sense. I was thinking about this because obviously I'm trying to relate it to sports I've played. And when I said the sweeper situation, it's actually not correct because you can only pass the ball one time. Like in soccer, sweepers would have to maintain the middle of the field. They can't go one side or the other because someone could kick it to the other side.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Okay. But for being the last line of defense, sweepers in soccer and safeties in football are kind of similar.
Sure.
I'm trying to relate it to other sports because I feel like people, especially women who are listening to this, might have played other sports, but football obviously is a tough one for women to have played.
And by sweeper, also like defender in soccer.
Well, yeah, but when I played it, there was a stopper and a sweeper.
Yeah. We're just talking about defenders too, just to dumb it down.
Oh, don't doubt anymore. Yes, these are defenders in soccer.
Yes.
Did you not know that either?
No,
Yeah.
no, I did.
Okay.
I played that one
Yeah,
too.
but like sweeper's
Okay.
not like a easily encompassed. Like maybe not everybody knows that.
Really? That
Yeah.
played soccer?
It's like when you call it a book bag. Some people don't know.
Do you call it a book bag or a backpack?
Definitely a backpack, but I
Me
would
too.
know what you were talking about.
We have some friends that, yeah, and I get it. Like book bag, he's like, I don't have a book bag.
I
He's
am
like,
the
"Your
neighbor friends that-
backpack."
Yes,
And
the
he's like,
Clausens.
"Oh, got
I
it."
will never forget this story. I am yelling at Cooper Clausen. He's like my own son. So at this point, I'm like, Cooper, where is your book bag? And he's like, I don't have a book bag. I was like, you
Oh.
came in with a book bag, Cooper. Where did you put it? I'm like, I'm nicer than this, but I'm like also like, where the fuck did you? Was that an eh? I was like, and he goes, do you mean my backpack? And I was like, it's the same thing. He's like, that is not the same thing.
Yeah. So sweeper, defenseman, same thing.
Okay, whatever. All right. So you get the kind of gist of zone versus man. You don't have a preference of what you play against?
No.
What about no look passes? Do those work better in a zone because people are watching your eyes?
Oh.
Look at me.
But sometimes in man, there is a helper, whether
Yeah.
he's a linebacker that's
That
helping or a
drops.
safety
Okay.
that I need to move, and so you move him and then throw it
I
behind him.
mean, after you've done all the
What?
rest, I just don't even no wonder you're fried.
Well, I have a question. Is there any other sport that is so particular in terms of offense and defense where you're like lining up and preparing for a moment like this? I can't
No.
think of anything.
No, it's the most strategized game for sure because it isn't free flowing. You know, like
Yeah.
basketball is free flowing, soccer,
Soccer.
hockey, all that is free flowing.
Mm.
And then baseball, the only two people that are involved in the strategy on the field, or three probably, are the catcher, the pitcher, and then the guy trying to hit. You know, and so
And everything else is reacting.
yeah, pretty much. You know, now they might move a shortstop a little bit here or there and
'Cause-
say he hits it here more often,
Yeah.
but it's not calling a crazy long play, can it to another one because if they give us this look, that look.
I mean,
So,
I'm even thinking before you even snap that ball, all the shit happening on both sides.
in
because
40
here-
seconds.
Here's another thing
Yeah.
too, and this is what I wanted to ask him. So when you see substitutions on offense and defense, obviously, and we'll get into this in a second, but the defense is putting people out there to match what the offense has out there.
Mm-hmm.
but like they just keep going. It feels like it never ends.
Yeah.
And the refs always have to give time for the defense if you substitute. If you
Correct.
don't substitute, they cannot substitute. Is that correct?
Yep. That's a basic way to say it. Yep.
Okay. So that's like in 2-minute drill when they're just going. There's no substitutions. Defense could get tired. That's a plus.
Yes.
Okay.
That's the easiest way to say it. Yes. I don't want to get into it. But
okay.
Yes.
All right. Well, we can get into it here because this is personnel, defensive personnel.
Ooh.
Sure. It's not a long list.
No, but it's gonna fuck your minds. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh no, I'm still processing offensive personnel.
Well, this
Gosh,
it's the same in a way of like there are what did you say? The names represent how many defensive backs are on the field. Well, at least 2 of them out of God knows how many. He only gave me 3. So we're just gonna do 3.
You guys need to watch this episode because Matthew's making a whole lot of faces.
We're trying.
No, you guys are doing great. But it's not like I gave you a list of 10 things.
No, and you know what's crazy is I feel like people would think I would know so much more about this sport, and I felt like I knew quite a bit. And then sitting down with them, I was like, I don't know anything. I know the very basics.
Yeah.
Like I really don't know that much. It's really disappointing. I've been watching you for 16 years and I don't know. Well, you know what? Your sister texted me and was like, I'm learning a lot. I was like, okay, I'm not alone.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, a lot of the ladies in my mom, you, my sister.
But like we know like the
essence.
Yeah, like we know like when to cheer. We know.
Oh, that you got down, yeah.
Well,
people
SoFi doesn't, so
yeah,
we'll get there.
sometimes.
But like there are, it's wild to me to go through all this and going, this is like the base information, and I don't know anything. It's crazy.
It is. It should. I mean, it is one of the reasons I think in my mind that it's so popular too. I mean, if you want to deep dive on this sport, you can, and there's a lot to learn and a lot to know. And if you're like a fan who's super into it, I mean, there's enough information to consume for days, weeks. You know, I mean, you can continue to go deep dive if you want.
And then, okay, sorry, real quick, because then I'm thinking about quarterbacks in general and like the brains these guys have to just figure all this out, and then let alone have to realize where their first read is, where their second read is, where their third read is, while there's 400-pound men trying to rip their heads off. So when I understand why there's running quarterbacks, because I would just be like, goodbye. If anything starts collapsing, I'm trying to get out. I'm just running. I'm just putting my head down. I'm like, well, I don't have the brain power to figure this out, so I'm out.
Yeah, well,
I'm not saying that they every NFL quarterback has the brain power because they've made it that far.
For sure.
But like, no, I think I'd run the ball every time. I think I'd be like, just block.
Yeah.
You guys just block.
Well, that's not an option for me because all the 400-pounders are still faster than me, so.
I know. I'm so sorry.
Better figure it out quick.
Yeah, it's true. I feel like maybe if you were, I mean, has there ever been like a really, really short quarterback? Oh,
Sure.
Well, Kyler Murray's small.
Kyler Murray's not super tall. Yeah.
How tall is he?
I don't know what he's listed at. He's probably 5'10", 5'11", something like that.
Oh, it's still pretty tall. Like I'm saying like 5'7", like
Oh,
Chad Hall
no.
out there.
I mean, Doug Flutie's the shortest guy I can think of.
I mean, they just hide. I would just bend down
Yeah,
where
but
no one can
then
see
he
me.
can't see anything else either.
Kyler Murray is 5'10".
There you go.
5'10".
How tall's Doug Flutie? That's a way
Drew
backer.
Brees was
He was-
shorter too.
Yeah,
But he was like 6 foot, wasn't he?
yeah, probably right under that. Yeah,
Also 5'10".
yeah, okay. Those are
Okay.
the two.
So those are the
Some
okay.
of them.
Well,
yeah.
then that wouldn't work either. All right, let's go to defensive
Great idea,
personnel. I'm just trying to think like, how do I get out of having to know all this shit?
Yeah, you don't. You don't play quarterback.
Yeah, you're right. What position? Kicker,
Kicker, yeah.
holder,
Holder, usually
long
another
snap,
player.
deep snapper,
Yeah, snappers usually.
punters.
Yeah, it's a good gig.
Are
if
we
you can get
saying
it.
those are simple positions? Time out.
Yeah, you're right. You can't say that. They're people too, Matthew.
Yes.
Sam Martin, we love you. Okay, so base defensive personnel, which is kind of what we went over the first time, but it's 4 D linemen, so 2 D tackles, 2 D ends, 3 linebackers, 2 corners, 2 safeties. Are you getting really turned on hearing me talk about this? Oh, bummer. Okay. I thought
You're doing great, though.
Yeah, babe. Way to go.
You're doing great.
So with that base defense, that is normally
Mm-hmm.
against a personnel that has 3 wide receivers.
Mm.
Yeah, because you said 12 and 21.
Mm-hmm. Do the
Shit,
math.
2 wide receivers.
There you go, babe. No, it's okay.
Math was my strong subject.
That's okay.
Okay.
So yes, 12-21. Think less than 3 receivers, base defense.
Less than 3 receivers, base defense.
So it could be 13 where they have 1 receiver.
Okay. So is this like goal line? This is like where you want your biggest dudes in? 'Cause
Yeah,
there's
and
not
it's a little bit how the game used to be played a whole lot more. It used to be you got in with a fullback, a running back, a tight end, and 2 receivers, and the defense trotted out base defense.
Was there a lot more running back in the day?
Yeah, a lot more. Yeah, the game has evolved into a little bit more of a passing league, obviously, and with that, you get more 11 personnel. You get 12, where the second tight end is more of like a receiver.
Okay.
You know, those kind of things.
More
Okay.
flags.
More flags.
Yeah.
So many more flags. We're going to do a whole podcast about that because the amount of penalties is wild right now. Okay, so then there's the nickel. What's a nickel equal?
5.
5. Okay. And that is based on the amount of defensive backs in the game.
Well done.
So that's corners or safeties.
Yes. So it's similar to the offensive personnel, you can do the math. If there's
Yes.
5 DBs, right?
It's nickel.
defensive backs. It's nickel. There's 2 linebackers. That gives you how many? 7. 40 linemen gives you 11.
11. Okay. So there you go.
Okay.
So defensive backs, corners, and safeties.
Yes.
I don't like how they split them up into particular. And I know there's a strong safety now and a free safety. So then it gets even more divided. But like defensive backs, let's just go there.
Sure.
Okay. Dime
Yep.
is what equal to what?
10.
10.
You'd think. Yes.
Yeah, wait, no, now I'm confused.
No. Dime is equal to 10. Like on a coin, it's the
Yes.
next coin up from a nickel.
Yes.
So it's 1 more DB. So we have 6 DBs.
Oh, boo.
We don't have a
That's
si-
annoying.
We don't have a 6-piece.
Why wouldn't you just call it 5 and 6 defense?
You could, but you would be really uncool.
Who came up with nickel and dime? There's got to be
That's
another
a great
reason.
question.
Wait, also, what's an edge? Because I've been recently
Edge
taught
rusher.
this by an edge.
Defensive end.
Okay.
So, or a edge outside linebacker, but yes, somebody who plays on the end of the line of scrimmage,
Okay.
either in a 3-point stance with his hand in the dirt, or 2-point where they're standing up on just their feet and rushing, setting the edge of the line of scrimmage.
And it wasn't always called that, though, right?
I mean, there's a lot of different terms for all of this, but yeah, I mean, since I've been around, it's some kind of an edge rusher. Yeah, I mean, there have been edge rushers for a long time.
Who's the most well-known edge rusher you can think of right now?
The Bosa brothers are really good ones in the league.
Also,
Micah
the Skims
Parsons.
model. just
Micah
saying,
Parsons is a
for all you women out
edge
there.
player. He's a little bit more versatile. I mean, Aiden Hutchinson was an edge player.
He still is an edge player.
Yeah, I'm just saying
Okay.
after the injury today came
Yeah,
to
yeah.
mind. But yeah,
Okay, so
defensive ends.
Defensive
Is what
ends.
I would consider edge players in layman's terms.
which would you say defensive ends are the biggest, most athletic people on the field? Biggest and most athletic.
Some of them, yes. Some of them.
Who do you think would be? What would be another option for that? Linebackers?
Yeah, and defensive tackles are pretty. I mean, Aaron Donald was pretty athletic, and
Oh,
he played inside. But sometimes those guys are less athletic, but yeah, defensive ends, the Miles,
just faster,
Garretts
quicker?
of the world, the T.J. Watts of the world.
Okay, here's what I'll ask. What separates a D tackle and a D end? Like ability, or just like, is it speed?
Weight and speed.
Weight and speed.
I mean,
lighter.
that's general. That's general.
Yeah,
but, yes.
but general's for this podcast. General
sure.
is good. So lighter and faster
On the outside.
more so on the outside because they can get around the linemen better.
They're
Okay.
in more space. Think about it. They have to cover. They're in more of a space alignment, whereas the bigger guys in the middle, there's just less space laterally to move.
Are they just kind of push through in the middle?
Yeah,
They're just
and
using
they'll
their-
slant, do all that. But like defensive ends might have to chase after a toss, a toss play, or
okay,
chase a quarterback who runs 4-4, or all those kind of things.
or chase you.
Yeah,
I'm
which
so
they're
sorry.
like, this is great.
They're like, oh yeah, Stafford's trying to run. I love you. That's not true.
It was really time for us to upgrade George's food, and I'm so glad we did it with Primal Pet Foods. And if you need to, Primal Pet Foods new kibble in the raw makes it so easy. It's crafted with freeze-dried raw meat and premium ingredients, so you know you're giving your dog the best of the best. Here's the thing. The dogs that I used to have, we used to try to give them what they needed, and it would be frozen. I'd have to cook it, and it would smell the whole house. It was disgusting. This is so much better because it is giving them that same maximum nutrition, but you don't have to change your routine. Kibble on the Raw gives your dogs the benefits of the raw nutrition while keeping things simple for you. Scoop and serve just like the regular kibble, but with all the advantages of the raw whole food ingredients. George runs straight to his bowl. I'm not kidding. I can't even get to the bin where I scoop it out of before he is already at his bowl waiting for that big old scoop to come in. So you can find Kibble on the Raw at your neighborhood pet store or visit primalpetfoods.com to learn more.
Okay. So when you have your offense on the field, you're in. Oh, wait, what's dime played against?
So dime is, remember we talked, it's more like the true passing situations. You might have 11 personnel out there. You might have 10. You might have 01. But let's say it's 3rd down and 9, and you're on defense. You're like, well, we don't think they're going to run it.
Right.
So they're going to pass
Unless
it.
you're the Lions.
Right. So we're going to pass it.
Yeah.
Let's get another guy to cover the tight end out there or cover the running back. Let's say you have a great receiver who plays running back a little bit, right? But he can catch the ball out of the backfield really well. Sometimes they'll drop dime out there and go, okay, safety, who normally plays safety, you go cover this running back because he would chew up a linebacker, but we got a better chance at covering him if we do it with a safety.
Got it. Okay. And so this is based on down and what is it?
Down and distance.
Down and distance and somewhat a personnel is on the field. Okay. And so when you are in these 2-minute situations and it's 3rd and 9, but you're not subbing, they have to try, or they have to have a linebacker try and cover. Oh wait, but they
a tight end or a running back?
Yeah.
If they're playing man.
If they're playing man.
Yeah.
Do you think they'd play man in that situation?
Sometimes.
So intrigued.
It depends on the coordinator.
Okay.
And then certain teams,
there's a whole nother thing, a coordinator. What's a coordinator? Do you know what a coordinator is?
I'm assuming a coach who coordinates the routes and decisions.
Yes, very, very good. For routes, offensive
we have
coordinator.
one on offense and one on defense.
Yes, no, but and then one defensive coordinator, which I always find that really interesting because when I think defense, I think they're just reacting to offense. Clearly, there's some because there's a coordinator.
They have a play on every play like we do.
Oh God. Okay. Well, we're not going there. They have a play.
Well, yeah. How do you think they all just look at each other and go, zone?
Yeah. I mean,
how do you think they know what zone they're playing or what defense? I mean, they get into a huddle. They have a guy with a green dot. Coach calls in and says, now their plays are.
But I was gonna say, aren't they more reacting to you
after the snap? But they have to line up.
Oh my God. Okay.
On certain play, I mean, it's on certain plays.
Wait, also, like, what I want to know is how much, like, gossip is there in the league? And this is what I'm interested in. How much gossip is there in the league in terms of, like, that player has that tell and, like, that coach always does this? And, like, how much are you talking about, like, the psychology of the people you're playing against?
I'm probably, like, I don't think everybody on our team thinks about it. But for the people in charge of the plays, our offensive coordinator knows their, defensive coordinator. We have so much information nowadays on personnel, tendencies, down and distance thoughts. Hey, what do they like to do after a kickoff, P and 10 to drive start? What is their number? What's their favorite thing?
What's P and 10?
That's what you call like a possession intent. So you just either caught a punt, you got a turnover, or you got a kick. Right, the defense's first play versus the offensive first play of a series. What do they like to call? Okay, well, is it second?
So that's a tendency.
Correct. I mean, we have a tendency on every down and distance if you want to get into it. I know the defensive coordinator, when we make a big play, does he get pissed and blitz, or does he go, all right, let's keep it in front of us? I mean, there are so many things that go into this. Now, not everybody's thinking that, but
it's like part of your job, correct?
Yeah.
Here's what I like, but I'm going, what happens if the defensive coordinator is like, normally, like, we're going to play smart, we're going to keep in front of us, and then it's like, fuck this, we're going to blitz the hell out of him one game. Like, is it just like, fuck?
Yeah, we have rules for all that, right? We have rules and we have what we think we might get. And frankly, for me, being a older quarterback in the league who's seen a lot, I don't get a lot of what I see on tape. I watch tape and I go, oh, this is how they play. And then they look at him and go, if we give him, or they have a ton of respect for Sean and some of the guys, and it's like, we get some change-ups every single week trying to, make it more difficult.
And this is another thing, too. Defenses would play when you had Calvin.
Oh, yeah.
they would play them completely differently than they would play another team because Calvin was so dominant that they would change their defenses up or change the way they're looking or whatever.
Yeah, their coverages for sure.
I mean, this is wild. Ugh. Okay, so defense is hard too. Who thought? I just really thought, you know what? You get out.
See ball, get ball.
You know
Go get him.
You don't. Honestly, you know what I thought? It's how I play defense. I'm like, I'm just gonna stop this person. Like, this is my job. This is what I'm gonna do. There's no like plays or anything like that. To be honest, normally I was in a box and one anyways. So my team would play defense in a zone, and then I would just follow the best player around and get my ass kicked or get elbowed in the face God knows how many times. But turns out football, not that way.
No.
That's tough.
A lot of moving parts, right? 22 on the field at all times. So there's a lot of options.
Unless you get the one dead ball. Well, it's not the one.
Go for it. Let's see you explain this one.
Dead ball foul of 12 people on the field for defense.
That was not called dead ball.
That was not called.
In the Ohio State game.
This is crazy. I put it on my Instagram. I was like, I had the discussion with Matthew. So it was how many seconds left? 10 seconds left. They run a play, 12 people on defense. And Ohio State's trying to come back and win it, right?
Correct.
Or the other way. Okay. Who are they playing?
Oregon.
Ohio State's driving to try and come back and win it. All they need is a field goal. They're down by 1. They have 10 seconds left. They run a play, 12 people on the field. Blow it, give them the 5 yards, and don't put the time back on the clock.
Ooh.
So what? So if it's not a dead ball foul, you don't get the time back. But they should have gotten the time back because I was like, what's stopping them from putting 12 men on the field every time?
Yeah.
Because you just run the clock out.
The play should have never happened.
The play should have never happened.
It should have gone before the snap. In my opinion, the way I would think about it, at least in the NFL, like if you have 12 people on the field, I wouldn't think they would. In that situation, they should blow that thing dead, I would think.
Would the only reason that you would not call it a dead ball foul is if the offense did make a big play, even with 12 people on the field?
But then the play had already happened. So I'm saying the play should have been blown dead before the snap.
Yes. I'm just thinking like why they wouldn't even, like why it would have.
Well, the one detriment is the game cannot end on a defensive penalty.
Right. So your last play, they would have to have 11 people on the field.
Correct.
But every other play, they could have 12.
Yep.
That's crazy.
I guess, yeah.
So they should have had 10 seconds. So
and 5 yards closer.
Yes. Honestly, what happened is the quarterback ran the last play and didn't get down soon enough for them to call a timeout to kick the field goal. Well, they should have had 4 more seconds. So that's the timeout and the field goal right there. Crazy. That's a big game to miss that.
Yeah.
Why is no one talking about it?
I don't know. Maybe it's a different rule in college, or maybe
Oh, no, I looked it up and I screenshotted it. It is dead ball foul in college football.
Yeah, you would think.
Crazy. Okay, so now what are we at?
We have to wrap.
Okay. All right, this is great. I'm going to do rapid fire with Matthew real quick. I have a few questions. Are you ready?
Oh, great.
Okay. Average size of a D end in the league.
6'5", 265.
Okay, those are the people running after him. Okay,
Probably a little tall, but
scariest D lineman to play against in your entire career.
Julius Peppers got me a bunch.
Ooh, yeah, he was good. And he kept going in your division, didn't he?
Yeah, he just kept bouncing around.
Didn't he go from like Chicago to Minnesota?
Chicago to Green Bay.
Chicago to Green Bay.
Ooh, he was after you.
Yeah, he was. He didn't want to leave Matthew.
Yep.
Most physical defense you have ever played against, and then the most physical this year, you think? I can name this one.
The Ravens, for a long time there when they had Ray Lewis and those guys, and Haloti and some of those great players. I mean, they were just ultra physical. Pittsburgh has always had physical defenses.
Okay. Do you want to know what I think your most physical defense?
Sure.
The Vikings.
Oh, I thought you meant teams we have played.
No. Have you ever played against?
Oh, played against. I got you.
Do you want to re-answer?
No. I think the Vikings were up there too. Yeah, they used to get after us a little bit.
Do you remember how many times you were sacked on that one game?
I don't remember the exact number.
Was it double digits?
I think so.
Yeah, girl. It was hard to watch. Okay.
Oh, were you puking? Oh, God.
Yeah, no. I don't think I was like, I went on a walk with our dogs. I couldn't watch it. I left. And like, I'm pretty sure Calvin's wife was there and Megan. And I was like, I got to get out at our house. And I was like, sorry, y'all, I got to go for a walk. And they're like, okay, we'll let you know if anything happens. Easiest defense you think to read in the NFL? Pre-snap. Come on.
Ooh, you're setting up a lot of timeouts, Kelly.
No, I don't think it's a timeout.
No.
Okay, is it a timeout?
Yeah.
Really?
You can call it, Matthew.
You can say timeout.
I can say timeout. Yeah, I'm not gonna answer these.
Okay.
Sorry.
Best secondary in the NFL right now? or like best duo? Is there a good like safety duo or corner duo?
Some of the best secondary. The Packers are playing really good right now. They got Jair Alexander, really good corner. Xavier McKinney is leading the league in picks, so they're doing a great job.
Okay, there you go. See, that wasn't that bad. Okay, well now you're gonna hate all these. Then.
Yeah, I am. Go ahead.
Best pass rush right now.
I would have said the Lions before Aiden Hutchinson. He was leading the league in sacks.
Could still be the best.
Yes, I'm just saying, with him out there, they're really good.
And he was like, I know it's early, but he was on, Aiden Hutchinson was like on his way to break Strahan's.
Had a chance.
Sack record.
Yeah, he had a lot of sacks.
Well, luckily Aiden's young, so
Yeah,
he'll be
for
back.
sure.
Okay, this is where it gets fun. Hottest cheerleaders.
Well.
Hello.
What, you in the suite? What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm a
sure.
cheerleader.
Actually,
no, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you not say Dallas?
Dallas is up there. Yeah.
Yep.
Sure.
Matthew and I do talk about.
Lose.
Matthew and I actually do talk
right?
about
Like,
this
what are we?
in a way of like, what I don't know. You know,
I think
back
you
in my
guys are way more.
heyday-
You guys are way more into like the
Oh,
stuff
I'm
going
so
on around
intrigued.
Oh, yeah.
around
I'm so
the stadium than
intrigued.
we are.
I'm going, what were they like? He's like, I don't know. I'm like, you had to have some kind of look. And he's like, I literally, now I know why he doesn't look. His brain is fried.
Got a lot of
Oh,
stuff
yeah.
going on.
I wouldn't
Yeah.
have time to do anything.
Yeah. You sneak a peek. Don't lie. Okay. So, best bye week in all 16 seasons.
I think 21 was a good one. I know we had a great end to that season as well, but 21 came at a good time for us. We went to Big Sur and just kind of disconnected, chilled.
That was our first time up there.
Yeah, it was the
It
first
was
time,
beautiful.
first kind of bye week in California. We had a good time.
Yeah, that was a good one. I agree. Well, that was just a good year.
Yeah.
Do you remember? I was actually, when I wrote this question, going, I don't recall. Like, it's hard for me to remember back at all these bye weeks.
Yeah, I mean, they're usually very uneventful.
Yeah, they usually are.
Yeah.
We're pretty lame for the most part. We went to the Cove, I think, one year with like the Stantons. Do
Way
you remember
back.
that?
Oh, man. Probably way, yeah.
That was fun. The Cove in Atlantis, 21 and up, or is it 18 and up? I don't even know. Okay, well, we are now on to week 7 of the NFL.
I think so.
Dun-dun-dun. Well, week 7, the Las Vegas Raiders will be coming into town. All of Oakland will be there for sure, so that's fun. I'm still wondering when we're going to get a home game, but, you know, who knows? Do I call a timeout on that? No, I don't, because it's true.
We've said it a few times.
So we will see, but I'm pretty sure they travel pretty well. And considering they used to be right down the road, didn't know they were north, though. Totally thought they were in between us and San Diego. Not going to lie. Thought Oakland was south.
That's tough for you.
Is it tough, though? Like, how much am I supposed to know about California? We moved here 4 years ago.
It's a big state, you know.
It is a big state. I know San Fran's north because it's cold and it's rainy and it's...
Let's stop making excuses.
He's
for
from
her.
Texas. He's like, I'm from a bigger state.
Yeah, well, okay. He's just really smart, and we get it. Now we know why you're a quarterback, and why. Honestly, this is what I'll tell you. I really think that you have been able to be a quarterback in this league for so long because of, yes, your physical ability, how hard you work, but also that big ass brain of yours. Like, I feel like when people say he's coming to, like, I don't remember what it was, coming to your own or still going at year 16 or whatever. I'm like, yeah, because I feel like the more you see things, we know your football brain. We know you can, like, remember a play 10 years ago, who caught the ball, who was blocking for you, who was guarding the person that blocked the ball or caught the ball. But I just think, like, as you see more and more, it just sits in that brain. Then you just can read defenses very quickly, figure out, well, yep, this linebacker is going to cover this running back, so I'm going to throw it to the running back or give it to the... So, as much as people think this game is physical, I now know, and I feel like maybe the audience, how much of it is mental.
Yeah, there's a lot of edges to be gained, right? A lot of edges to be gained mentally. And that goes for all positions if that's something that guys want to do or willing to put the work in for, you know. But you can try to find edges that will extend your career or make you that much better in the moment, whatever it is.
Oh my gosh. Well, I appreciate you. I thank you for coming on your bye week with all this going on. I don't know how you have room for anything else. But I appreciate that you do. And I appreciate also that you always disconnect from football when you're in this home. I don't know I just don't know how you do it. I don't know how you have all of this info. And this is basic. And I'm going, I wouldn't be able to sleep. My brain would just be turning. I mean, I'm thinking about what I'm going to make my kids for lunch the next day, and my brain's on fire. So anyways, I respect you. I love you.
Thank you.
I'm so proud of you. Let's turn this shit around. Nobody else, no one else to be the quarterback for this team right now. Obviously, might be biased,
Thanks, babe.
but it's true. I mean,
for
like,
sure.
if I could trust any quarterback to pull someone out of a 1-4 situation, it would be you. And I know your team feels the same way. So with that, we are going to time back in. And thank you. I know you don't know any of the lingos yet. It's okay. You want to say Ryuta, though? Because we do say that.
Sure.
1, 2, 3.
Ryuta.
Good job, babe.